Hi, you guys. It's me, Kathy Griffin, and welcome to another episode of Kathy Griffin Talk Your Head Off. And please like and subscribe. And guess what? This is the birthday edition. Now, today is my birthday. And you guys, guess what? I'm 65. Can you believe that shit? Look at this body. And yeah, I've had a little work done. Hence my tour, which I start on Saturday night at Planet Hollywood, November 8th, Planet Hollywood, one night only. And I'm starting the tour, and it's called New Face, New Tour, because I kind of have a new face. And I definitely have a new tour. All new material, different material than if you're watching my YouTube special, which is free, called Kathy Griffin, My Life on the PTSD List, which now has over 300,000 views, which is a big deal for me. So I'm very excited. We're just going to have fun this week because I'm going to take you behind the veil, as I did on my show, My Life on the D-List. I'm still on the D-List, proudly so. I had some A-list moments the last week, but I want to tell you about my trip to New York to do a lot of press. And except for one thing, thank God for the Shepard show. And I love Sherry. We're old friends. We go way back to the 90s. We were on a sitcom together called Suddenly Susan. We worked together every day. I just think the world of her. I just love Sherry. She's so sweet and she's such a hard worker and she's so funny. Anyway, she lets me do whatever I want on her show. So that's why I went to New York. So I say to my publicist, well, if I'm gonna pop for the jet and go to New York by myself, oh no, I flew commercial this time. Yeah, go ahead, judge me in the comments. And by the way, I wanna talk to you comment people for 1 minute. First of all, I don't even see the bad ones because I have too much PTSD. I'd probably start vomiting. So I have a team of people who take the really bad MAGA ones out. So you're wasting your time. But apparently, one of my dogs, I don't know if you can see him, but one of my dogs just peaced out. Now, this is my dog, Maggie, named after my mother. She is wearing a bark collar. It does not tase her. She's fine. All it does is it rings because she is a compulsive barker. And I want to be a considerate neighbor. And I don't want to be that asshole that, when I go out, there's one yippy dog that, sets off my alarms. And she does. So then my phone goes off. And you know what it says? It goes, there is continuous howling. Continuous howling. And it's not me. Well, sometimes it's me. But okay. So PETA, don't be mad at me. All it does when she barks is it just makes a ringing sound. And then she's like, oh, I don't want a piece of that heat. But I take very good care of all 4 of my rescues that I love very dearly. I can't go to the pound, you guys. I'm not strong enough. If I went to the pound again, I'd come home with 100. I'm going back on tour. I don't know what's wrong with me. I don't know why I'm going back on tour, except that I love it so freaking much. I love it that I should be staying at my beautiful home in Malibu with my dogs, entertaining, having dinners and lunches, and instead, I can't wait to hit the stage again. My first show is Saturday night, and I am not kidding when I say I don't know what the show's gonna be yet. I don't know until my foot is on the stage. Something happens where when my Doc Martin, and I love Doc Martens, when it hits the floor of the stage, this time at Planet Hollywood, then I just am able to start talking. But I'm gonna try some stuff I've never done before because, my special's out there for you. I did a 75 city tour that just ended in March, and now I'm going back out. And so doing press for a tour is not easy because I'm not Dave Chappelle, I'm not Amy Schumer, I'm not Chris Rock, I'm just me. I've already been on all the shows or I'm banned. But this time I couldn't get on any of the big nighttime shows, Colbert or Seth Meyers or even The View this time or Kelly Clarkson or Drew, they were all booked, right? So thank you, Sherry Shepard, for having me. And by the way, this is the idea I came up with, and this just takes balls. So either you're gonna respect this about me or you're gonna vomit. But I decided to go out on the Sherry Shepard show in a freaking bikini at 65 for my birthday. So I had to send them pictures of 2 separate bathing suits because they were afraid that it wouldn't be appropriate for daytime, which I'm not. But they were probably afraid that I'd have a thong or something. So I sent 2 pictures and one of them covered more of my body, but then I started sending them around to my friends going, well, if the joke is that I'm still going out in a bikini at 65 years of age with heels that are this high by Giuseppe Zanotti, who I think must have hated his mother because they're so uncomfortable. But I think it's funnier if I'm in a really skimpy bikini. So are you ready? Okay, here is the bikini I went out in. How about that? Now, the prep for that was so insane because back in the day, in the 90s and 2000s, my heyday, we used to wear body makeup all the time. And it is furniture ruining, it is set ruining. And so I didn't want to ruin Sherri Shepard's set, but I'm so pale, I'm so Caucasian that my skin is like I can see you guys now. Look at that. I can actually see through my skin, and I can see through, like I'm like an anatomy doll. Like I can see my own organs. I'm clear. And so I need lots and lots of body spray, or else all people comment on is how white I am. So I'm self-conscious about that. Plus I'm a ginger. So I'm like extra, extra pale. At the hotel, I had to have my hair and makeup person, whose name is Bailey Bolden, who's Miss Black Trans Universe. Take that in. Miss Black Trans Universe did my hair and makeup. Shout out to Bailey Bolden, great follow on socials, and my assistant Jonathan had to just spray paint my body like I was a car or a house. And hold please. Oh, and now the water's everywhere. Okay. I love the chaos. I can't help it. I love the chaos. And it's flowers, people. See, I knew the chaos would be worth it. All right, come on. Olivia, come back. Olivia, Mary, Maggie, come on. Olivia, come on. Come back. Come on. Come on. Oh, there's my babies. Okay, you guys, that might happen again. Do you love how my life is just chaos? My schedule's wet. This is fantastic. So like I said, I went on Sherri Shepard's show in a freaking bikini, made a total fool of myself. And I gotta tell you, the ladies and the gays in the audience loved it. I'm just gonna take credit and say it was a fabulous moment, but I didn't wanna sit down during the interview in a bikini, because you know, at my age, some skins go in here, some cellulites go in there. And so I purchased a kind of a robe, sort of a robe house coat that belonged to my dear departed friend Joan Rivers when her daughter Melissa had an auction. So I thought it would be cool because Sherri Shepard knew Joan and Joan was very supportive of Sherri. And I thought it would be cool to then cover the ridiculous bikini and heels with an actual Joan Rivers robe, because I feel like Joan would appreciate the audaciousness of a bit like walking out in a bikini. So, and by the way, the segment itself, which I encourage you to look up online if you haven't seen the Sherri Shepard show, airing today, November 4th. I was terrible at promoting myself because all I did was make fun of like the fact that I was in a bikini. And I am sure I made fun of celebrities and I'll get in trouble for that. But I don't even know if I remembered to say, oh, go to kathygriffin.com and come see me on tour. I'm coming to your town. Because I was getting body paint all over her furniture. Anyway, that was really fun. So I have to tell you about some of the other stuff because some of the stuff you may have seen online, but you have to know Granny Griffin here, I've never even heard of it. In my day, press was like talk shows would really move the dial. Shows that don't exist anymore, like Larry King or Charlie Rose, they would really, if you're selling a book, they would help sell a book. And then radio shows, you know, you do the Breakfast Club, or back in the day in LA, you do a show called Kevin and Bean, and that would sell a lot of tickets. Now with new media, you don't know where you're gonna go and you don't know what's gonna work. So I did a bunch of digital stuff. Now, one of the things I did was I did the Maury Povich show. Now, you guys know Maury Povich, right? Who is the daddy? You are not the father. What? So I call him Mopo. Here, let me tell you, I got a story about Maury Povich. First of all, he's married to a woman named Connie Chung. She's an icon, living legend, groundbreaking Asian woman, anchor of the news, but also an intrepid investigative journalist herself, in the field, amazing. And here comes Maury Povich, who at the time, I may have been on like a current affair or one of those shows. I'm not sure. But I'm just gonna be honest. Maury was seen as kind of cheesy eye candy. You know, gorgeous, gorgeous looking man, gorgeous. But Connie was legit. And Connie would go on the David Letterman show at the peak of that show. And Dave was famously like in love with Connie. And he'd be making fun of Maury and saying, why don't you leave Maury for me? And it was this huge thing. And Maury had to just kind of take it on the chin. So guess what Maury does? Maury starts the freaking Maury Povich show based on the premise of DNA testing back in the day when they had to like send it to a lab for weeks. Not like now where you, Nick, what do you do? Piss on a stick?
Pretty much.
How many pregnancy tests have you had, Nick?
That I've taken personally?
Yeah.
A few.
Okay, I'm just gonna say Nick is a bona fide homosexual. I realized I asked the worst person in the room. Mandy, I'm sure you've had a lot of near misses. How do you take a DNA test now?
It's a swab. Yeah.
It's a swab. Oh, okay. And then they decide who the real parent is. Secretly, Maury was making bank because the Maury Povich show becomes this giant, giant hit. It's been on the air for decades. He then gets ownership of the show. See, I love what I call a secret baller. Like you might be like, oh, Maury Povich, whatever. Oh, people make fun of that show. Not me. He's laughing all the way to the bank. Guess what? In real life, Mopo and Connie live in like Montana or Boise or one of those places where they just had acres and acres. Then Maury takes the private jet to Stamford once a week, bangs out 10 shows in a day and a half. Connie's at home buying Birkin bags on the phone. He said she sleeps till noon. What a life. Let me tell you what that is. That's Kathy Griffin's idea of you figured out life. And I'm fascinated by people like that. Like we could look at the Kardashians or Jeff Bezos or whatever and go, oh my gosh, look at all that money. I wish I could have that. But then you look at freaking Maury Povich and you're like, that's secretly one of the richest people in the world. And he did it just by grit and doing it over and over and ripping that envelope saying, you are not the father. So he now has like a podcast repurposed on YouTube like this, like everybody has, right? And so I went to do it. But I emailed him ahead of time. And I said something like, look, you old coot, I'm on my way to come see you. I'm dressed to the nines. I'm wearing shoes that are worth more than you make in a year, which is not possible. Also, it's a joke I've been doing for 20 years. And I said, I'll tell you what, after we do your podcast, let's go to your house and just count your money. So I show up at Maury's and I had the best time with him because he is super, super smart. He did talk about me coming back from the Trump head photo, and that's what everybody asked about. It was the first question out of everybody's mouth. So afterwards, Maury's team, he walks out of the studio and he's like, I don't know why I'm doing this. I'm not making a dime. Because, you know, he's used to making like $1 million a day in Stamford, right? And so I go, I know, Maury, this is not like you to have a money-losing business happening. And I go, I have a YouTube show that doesn't make a dime. So I get doing it for the love of the game. So that's another reason I love him. He doesn't have to do it. He's just doing it because he loves it. And he interviewed Leanne Morgan right before me. She's really great. So then his social team shows up. Now you got to remember, to older folks like us, and I don't know how old Maury is, but he's still a very good-looking guy. But we still don't quite understand this. Like I said, I come from decades of doing talk shows. A piece in People magazine could make or break a career. Oh, by the way, there was a piece about me in People magazine that I'm so thrilled about because it was very People magazine. It was 2 pages in the physical magazine and the title, and I have this pensive look on my face like this. Right? Like, because I've been through a lot of shit. And the title of the article is Risen from the Ashes. Come on, it doesn't get more People magazine than that title. So anyway, my tour should be sold out just based on that article alone, but it's not. So go to kathygriffin.com and buy a ticket because every ticket you buy to my tour is a middle finger to censorship. And I really mean that. And I have lived it. You know me. Okay, so anyway, I do a social media bit with Maury. And luckily, they had a guy who put the lyrics that we were lip syncing on a laptop because I wasn't even familiar with the song, much less the part I was supposed to be rapping, but lip syncing. All right, you want to see it? I think it's really cute. So it's Maury Povich just being told, do this. He didn't argue. He just went, okay. And then we were back to back, and he was leaning against me so hard he almost knocked me over, which also would have been a great story. Kathy Griffin gets knocked over by Maury Povich and takes his ranch. So let's take a look at the hopefully soon to be viral trend that Kathy Griffin, did with Maury Povich. Pause, he's 86. That's insane. Okay, so my assistant just told me that. By the way, I would hit that shit tonight. Connie, I'm sorry. I respect you tremendously, but I do kind of think of Maury Povich as the one that got away. So by the way, any tabloids that are watching this, page 6, there's your headline. Kathy Griffin tries to steal husband from Connie Chung, calls Maury the one that got away. So I know how to make press. Then it was time to do other things that I've never heard of, like, a radio tour. This is where you go studio to studio in like the Sirius building, and you don't know who you're gonna be talking to. And it was a whirlwind. So first I talked to Page 6 Radio, which I don't even know what that is, because I know Page 6 from the New York Post, which by the way is Murdoch owned. So I don't know if the piece is gonna go my way, but it was 2 gay guys doing the interview, and that was a dream. So they were very, very respectful and super, super nice. And I don't even know if it like aired already, or if anybody heard it, or anybody's talking about it, or if it ended up on Page 6 in the paper online or not. I don't know. You just do all this stuff. It's throwing spaghetti on the wall. You're hoping to sell tickets, hoping to get people to watch the special and this show. Okay, I also did Seth Rudetsky's radio show. Let's go with radio show. So Seth Rudetsky is Mr. Broadway, and I know some Broadway legends, and when I'm in New York, I call them. So the first night that I was there, still had body makeup on, I believe, but I went to a show called Cast Party, and it's at the iconic jazz club Birdland, and it's hosted by my friend Jim Caruso, who was a backup singer and dancer for Liza. Yeah, that's right. And on the keyboards is none other than Billy Stritch, who's played for Liza. I think he even played for Joan Rivers at some point, but just these guys are just amazing legends and so talented. So what that show is it's people that mostly are on Broadway, but Monday is their night off. And they love the game so much that they go and just sing a song. Like there was a guy that was in Chicago on Broadway, and it was his night off. And what does he do? He comes to Birdland just by himself, gets up there, sings a song, not from Chicago, but a song that he felt like singing. So then Jim introduces me, and I go up on stage, and I'm just riffing a little bit. And the audience was very sweet when he's like, we have a special guest in the audience tonight. So let's take a quick look at that clip.
I'm not gonna sing, don't worry, I'm not gonna sing.
Oh, just a little, you know?
No, this night is so amazing. I'm so lucky to be in presence of true greatness, you guys.
You are.
This town, and this fucking guy is a legend, and you guys are like, you like the straights in.
Yeah.
Okay. I cheat, I don't know. They're the worst dressed.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No.
No, they're the best dressed straights. Anyway.
So another thing that was a big part of the New York trip, in addition to my job, which was doing, I think I did something like 30 interviews. But the social center of the trip was I went to see the great Leslie Odom Jr., my pal. I've talked about him on this show before. He's come over a couple of times. And he has returned as Aaron Burr in Hamilton. And he won the Tony Award for being the original Aaron Burr in Hamilton. And so his return for the 10-year anniversary of Hamilton has now made ticket sales crazy again. And he got me 2 tickets. And you guys, you're gonna shit when I tell you who I brought as my +1. Are you ready? You ready for an icon name drop? E. Jean Carroll. Yes, the woman that Donald Trump sexually assaulted, the woman that went through 2 trials and prevailed against him. She was the first person to hold him accountable in a court of law in history, or during his first term at least, and she's a woman, and she went to those trials at 80 years young and was perfect on the stand. And the first trial, she got a $5 million judgment from Donald. The second trial, she got an $83.3 million judgment. He, of course, is refusing to pay at this time. So he now owes E. Jean Carroll over $100 million in damages. And in the filing papers, the presiding judge, Judge Lewis Kaplan, used the R word, R-A-P-E. And he said, Donald Trump was found liable for R word-ing E. Jean Carroll. And it was in 1996. And New York's governor, whose name is Kathy Hochul, who I think is fantastic, and I think she takes a lot of heat because she's a woman. There, I just said it, but I think she's a fantastic governor, and I'll tell you why. Because she passed a law that takes away the statute of limitations for SA, sexual assault. So why should there be a statute of limitations on that? That is a horrible, life-changing crime. It's not something you get over, all right? Ladies, you know, everybody knows what I'm talking about, and guys, so do you. So let's not play that game anymore either, like it doesn't happen. And so she and I have become very close, and I just think the world of her. And I forget that her topic and what she's famous for is the news surrounding sexual assault. But in real life, she's a comedy girl. She was a writer on SNL. She was even nominated for an Emmy for writing on SNL. She had a show called Ask E. Jean. She had an iconic column called Ask E. Jean. And, you know, she's been around forever. And she's really, really quirky and funny in real life. So I have to remember when I'm introducing her to new people that they get a very serious look on their faces because she's associated with Donald at a time when he's freaking back in office in an election he did not win. Yeah, you heard me. She won. I think she won. Yeah, I think there was meddling, and I'm going to say that. I'm not saying the Dominion machines. I'm not that tinfoil hat. I'm just going to say I do not think Donald Trump won in a free and fair election. And today's election day. So yes, on Prop 50, and I'll tell you why. Because if Texas gets to gerrymander to the point where no matter what, the Republicans win the House and the Senate, or at least the House, then California should be able to do the same. So that's what Prop 50 is. If you don't know, or if you're believing the disinformation that's going around, it's because our election is so tilted with the Electoral College versus the popular vote that, you know, we've now had several presidents that lost the popular vote, the will of the people, but won the Electoral College. Is because of gerrymandering, which means they take your little district that you live in and they redraw the lines, right? So you could be on one district on your side of the street, and across the street is a totally different district that's going to go Republican no matter what. That's why you can't get rid of like the Marjorie Taylor Greens and the Matt Gaetzes, because it's so gerrymandered. Florida's terrible that you don't even have a chance. Anyway, so Proposition 50 is a big deal here in California, and I hope it passes. And our governor, Gavin Newsom, has been trolling the shit out of Donald Trump in a way that is glorious. And I'm not saying he's the savior, and I'm not saying one person's going to come and save our party. I'm just saying, isn't it fun to see Newsom go off on Trump? And his social media team should be running with every single Democrat on the ticket or not on the ticket. Where was I? Hamilton. All right. So I don't want to bother Leslie because he's this big star and doing 8 shows a week of Hamilton. The most, in my opinion, the most difficult musical to do in the history of musicals. There, I just said it. I know I'm going to piss off all my Broadway people and all the people that go to cast party on Mondays because I'm Broadway illiterate. But the level of difficulty for Hamilton is 10 out of 10. Every freaking song, every freaking performance. And it's so tied in like a puzzle that if one person screws up, which I was watching for, secretly, I was hoping one person would screw up and then the rest of them would have to scramble. But nobody did. They were all freaking perfect. So anyway, Leslie got us tickets. I'm boning up on my Hamilton and I'm listening to the soundtrack while I'm getting my hair and makeup done by Bailey Bolden, Miss Black Trans Universe. And I keep crying because the soundtrack to Hamilton is so moving that she's got to like redo me over and over. But I just wanted to know every song so nothing would go over my head because I have a confession. You ready? This is bad. I saw Hamilton with the whole original cast the first go around. And because I didn't go to college and I'm a dumbass in certain areas, I was so dumb about the American Revolution that I thought Alexander Hamilton was the second president. I think it was John Adams. But anyway, so the first time I saw Hamilton, the entire thing went over my head. And all I was thinking was, oh my goodness, they're rapping so fast, I can barely understand. And I was sitting with Macklemore, who is also a rapper, and we went backstage and we met Lin-Manuel Miranda, and I was trying to make him laugh. And I told him his name was too long for the business. I said, look, Cher, Liza, Lynn, just cut it down. He did not think that was one bit funny. And I kept saying to him, or if that doesn't make you laugh, what about the fact that you're talking to Kathy Griffin and Macklemore? Lynn, that's just funny in itself. I couldn't get him. So E-Jean and I are getting ready, and I was at the hotel I stay at in New York. I've been staying in the same hotel for years. I know everybody who works there. It's like Cheers. I know all the door guys, all the people behind the counter. I walk in and it's, hey, Kathy, hey, how's you doing? And I always go, my line is, I always go, we're still alive. Can you believe it? We're still alive on my 65th birthday. All right, so anyway, I said, E-Jean, when you drive in, let me know when you're in the lobby and I'll have my assistant come collect you. So she's like on her phone. She doesn't live in the city, half on her phone, and she's not responding. And then all of a sudden she says, I have a surprise for you. And I'm thinking, okay, but we got a play to see and we're gonna have to take a car there because I decided to wear these like big, high Gucci, super pointed, really sexy, but like I haven't worn these shoes since 2006. And, I had a Dolce & Gabbana dress on, a Carolina Herrera little bolero jacket. Like, I really wanted to do it up for E-Jean. And also, she used to work at Elle, so she's a fashion girl. And she wears flight suits almost every day, but she'll pair it with like a Givenchy jacket and a scarf. Like, she's just super duper stylish. So I'm thinking, what is this surprise? She's gonna bring me like flowers or a piece of cake for my birthday? I don't even, she's very quirky and she's very brilliant. She's super intellectual as well. In fact, she recommended that I read David McCullough's 1776 so I could understand Hamilton more, and I'm halfway through it now. And let me tell you, it is fascinating. Turns out it was the hell of a war. You want to hear the surprise? Yeah. I mean, this is an if you know moment. If you get it, you get it. But this is epic if you get it. So E-Jean Carroll walks into my hotel suite, and I'm so obnoxious, I took a chair and I put it in the middle of the suite because they gave me the penthouse. It was 2 stories. I stayed in a room that was 2 stories, a 2-story penthouse in New York, unheard of. So I took a chair and I crossed my legs. I still had the body tan on my legs, and the fake tan, and I was going like this because I didn't know what she was going to walk through the door with. I didn't know, And so she walks in the door with Tarana Burke, the founder of #MeToo, the woman who built the movement, the woman who, you've seen her. So here's a picture of the 3 of us. And can I be honest? I at that moment, like left my body for a minute because I'm sitting there going, I'm just Kathy Griffin from Forest Park, Illinois. And I'm rolling with E-Jean Carroll, but E-Jean knows Tarana Burke, who I've DM'd on Twitter, and I feel like I know her, but she's just a legend, And so we hung out for a little bit, and then E. Jean goes up to my assistant and she goes, do you have anything to drink? And he's like, oh yeah, here's all the non-alcoholic beverages. And she goes, alcohol. And that was so funny because she's not even a drinker. And so she takes the wine from the mini bar, which I'm going to bill her for because it was probably $500. And then she pours some wine, and then Tarana's like, I don't drink. And I go, I don't drink. So E. Jean's like, all right, bottoms up. And then the three of us talked and we strategized. So that's all I'm going to say about that. But if you get it, you get it. But it was a fly on the wall moment. And it was actually hard for me to be present in the moment, but also try to be the fly on the wall that took in, if the three of us put our heads together and we're talking resistance, we can really have a good conversation. And Tarana's a real leader and really knows how to get stuff done. So anyway, it's time to go to the show. And E. Jean and I walk in, and the whole time I'm bitching about my heels. I'm going, look, whatever the plan is for the night, at some point, there are Crocs in my Chanel bag. Crocs. So I am ready, but I don't want to be paparazzi'd, with my Crocs on. And she is just laughing because she doesn't care about any of that stuff, and yet is incredibly stylish. But she wore an orange jumpsuit that night, which was fantastic because it was a little bit of a nod to how Donald should be in prison himself. So, and she wore like a blue Prada coat with it that went perfectly, and she knows all that stuff. So anyway, we are watching Hamilton, and Leslie comes out. I'm gonna try not to cry. Like, I might even cry. So Leslie comes out, and he starts the whole play. And the whole audience goes crazy, like a rock concert. They're screaming, we're cheering, yeah, Leslie! And then the play starts. E. Jean has never seen the play. She's brilliant. She knows all the things. She knows everything about history, everything about culture. She wrote a book where she spent a year with Hunter S. Thompson and survived that. If you know, you know. Okay, so at one point, she only did it 3 times during the show, but it was charming. It wasn't annoying. At one point, they finished the first song, and then she turns to me, and based on the song, she goes, they really did that. And I just love that. So 3 times during the show, they're telling the story that I should have already known about Alexander Hamilton and his life and his accomplishments and how he got with Aaron Burr and his wife and everything, Thomas Jefferson, and how King George feels about it in England and stuff. And then E. Jean would just periodically turn to me and go, they really did that. Like, there's one song called I Want to Be in the Room Where It Happens. And it turns out that some of the founding fathers went into a room, but it was only like 3 or 4 of them. And they didn't let Aaron Burr in the room. And that was their mistake because that pissed them off. And you don't want to piss off Aaron Burr. Trust me. I'm reading a whole book about it. So then afterwards, it's time to go backstage. But I'm like a little nervous, right? Because Leslie's working his butt off. He's incredible. The whole cast is so dazzling. I can't even contain myself. So what they do is very smart. They have you gather at a door. So I look around. I don't see any other famous people, but it's obviously like VIPs and friends and family of the cast and stuff. Then they let you go on the stage, and you get to take a picture on the actual Hamilton stage. So E. Jean and I took one doing the Hamilton sign like that. So here's that picture. Doesn't she look cute? I know. And then the cast slowly comes out and they meet everybody. And I told Leslie, it's like he's a doctor doing rounds. They have to go to like each little group and take selfies and stuff like that. So okay, at the risk of sounding like a total asshole, it was so touching how insanely nice that cast was to me. I'm just gonna come out and say it. Like, I mean, every one of them came up to me and I don't, they were saying shit like, oh my God, it's Kathy Griffin. Like, I know it's just me, but I don't know why I live in Malibu. I should move to New York tomorrow. And then what gave me so much joy is if they didn't recognize E. Jean, for me to be able to say to the cast members, people of color, women, I'd like to introduce you to the one and only E. Jean Carroll, who prevailed against Donald Trump in not 1 but 2 court. And to watch, guess what? The girls in the cast cried. They cried. They took E. Jean's hand and they said, thank you for what you do. thank you, you're so strong. And Eugene is just like, no, it's not about me, never mind, you're amazing, you're amazing. And it was so sweet. Like, we got to meet everybody in the cast. So then after the play is done, Eugene says, we should go to Sardi's. So Sardi's is this iconic Broadway restaurant. It's been in so many movies, you can look it up, SARDI''S. And they take caricatures of big stars. So like if you've won a Tony or if you're a Broadway stalwart, it's a big deal to have your caricature. So then I'm calling my poor assistant, Jonathan, who's supposed to be having the night off. And I'm like, Eugene wants to go to Sardi's, make it happen. And then he doesn't know the time we're going to be there because it turns out we couldn't get a car and it's Broadway and it's too crowded and I've got the freaking Gucci heels like this. So guess what happened? I go up to Thomas Jefferson and I go, would you mind walking Eugene, Carroll, and I to Sardi's? And he goes like this. He puts his hand out. And here's the deal. After the show's so popular, the entire cast has to go outside the theater and do what's called a rope line. And they have to sign the playbills of everybody. So the cast doesn't just do the show. It's kind of mandatory that you do the signing. And they're all big stars in their own right. So then King George comes up to me and he goes, do you need some help? And after he had said, oh my God, is that Kathy Griffin? And I'm like, hello. And so we were walked to Sardi's by Thomas Jefferson and King George. Now, if you have seen the play, and if not, you can see it, it's on one of the streamers, just knowing the level of talent that these guys possess and how kind it was to take these two old broads and walk them. And we laughed so hard. I was trying to make them laugh, and they just delivered us to Sardi's, and we went in, and we ate, and we had a fabulous, Eugene picked up the check. Shame on you, Eugene. My turn next time. And we took pictures for Leslie, and we're sending Leslie endless pictures of us just having like a wild night out on the town. But anyway, it was a fantastic trip. I hope I sold some tickets. I hope I got some more of you guys to watch my special, to watch this weekly show. Here's what I'm gonna say for next week's episode. I did 2 press hits that were like, man on the street, hoping to go viral on TikTok. So that's what to look forward to for next week's episode. Anyway, it's my birthday. I hope you watched me on Sherry Shepard. I hope you voted yes on Prop 50. And go see Hamilton. Do whatever it takes. Go to your town. It's amazing. Support Eugene Carroll. Her book is called Not My Type. It's an amazing book and audiobook. And I love you guys, and I'll see you next week on Kathy Griffin, Talk Your Head Off.